What is going on, everybody? It is episode 740 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis actors. It's Mary. We will be on our best behavior today because Phil is here.
I don't buy that for 1 second. Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary, and I'm not buying her crap. She is not going to be on her best behavior just because I'm here.
Yeah, she's going out of town today, so she's like, I'm leaving.
I got nothing to lose.
Right. You guys hold
I'm
the
crazy.
That could happen.
I've lost my marbles.
That could absolutely happen, guys.
Absolutely
You never know what's gonna. You never know what's gonna happen here, guys. We do have a bunch of stuff to get into today, but before we get started, would you go and buy some Hawk Tua coin? No, I'm just kidding. Don't go and do that.
Our first
This is not
sponsor.
financial
That is the
advice.
worst
First sponsorship.
Look, like I said, there's no more fitting way for a chick named Hawk Tua to go out than on a pump and dump. But before we get started, that's great. I still say that, yes. Don't go buy any. I did, however, buy some Mudang coin today.
There's such a thing.
Yes, there is a Mudang
Wait, so
coin.
people still care about Mudang?
Apparently.
I thought she got canceled.
She did get canceled because she voted for Trump.
Right.
But I bought $1 of Mudang coin.
All right.
So it's
Mudang is cuter than
the one that replaced her.
Then Hawk Tua?
Yes. Yeah. There
Yeah.
you go. There you go. Before we get started, guys, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. The best way that you can help this show grow is to share the videos out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people you like, people you don't like, mortal enemies perhaps. If you have them, the more people you share them with, the faster the show can grow. So thank you guys so much for that. So what are we getting into today? Well, a bunch of these outlets are doing the top artists of the 21st century, despite the fact that the 21st century has like 75 years left to go.
Getting
and
a
people
little ahead
were,
of
yeah, they're getting a little ahead of themselves. You know, somebody could go on like a Michael Jordan-esque streak in the late part of the century, but it looks as if Beyonce has been unanimously named as the bigger artist than Taylor Swift, and people have questions.
It's not true.
So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about the absolute dumpster fire that was the announcement yesterday of supposed, possibly, maybe casting for the actor who's going to play Severus Snape in the upcoming Harry Potter television show. His name is Papa Essiadu, and people, they've got problems because they haven't even announced it and they're already race swapping. So we're going to get into it. We're also going to talk about Sophie Rain, which I saw comments in our chat earlier this week. They said, why are you guys ignoring the Sophie Rain situation? As
The
if,
situation.
Yeah,
There's a
that's what they
situation.
said. That's how they phrased it.
I was planning to talk about this from Monday.
Yeah.
But we just needed to have the proper moment for it, and that was also on the same day.
We're holding space for it.
We were holding space for it, and the same day as Lily Phillips, the one who is sleeping with 1,000 of her subscribers.
Good
like,
grief.
You gotta space it out because you can't just pile on all the degeneracy in one day.
Yes.
So today's the day.
Those days, there are days where that happens sometimes, and I'm just dead by the end of it.
Anyway, I think that this girl, Sophie Rain, might be the highest earning OnlyFans creator ever.
We'll have to wait and see. We'll look at it. There's a 20 there from Jose Quintana.
Let me find that.
Got it here.
Come on.
Happy Thursday, Brett, Empress, and Phil, and I continue celebrating my 58th birthday with your show this afternoon. I look forward to some good steak later this evening. Long live PCC. I was just saying how I've been wanting to eat some steak.
Yeah.
Like, I have an iron deficiency. I don't know if anyone could tell.
Yeah. Steak does sound good. Have to get some. So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. We can just go ahead and get started. Mary, are you ready?
Do we have another 20?
No.
Okay, yes, we're ready.
Phil, you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Well, newsflash, everyone. Britney Spears is still nuts.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Britney Spears in a while, so I was like, let's just check in on what she's up to, and surprise, surprise,
I just think of
Britney is not okay.
Simpson meme where you walk in, the guy puts his hat down, walks around, picks his hat up, and leaves.
Yep.
That's about how it goes.
I check her Instagram every once in a while. It never gets any more normal or stable. It's just her still doing dances in her living room, saying outlandish things. But this most recent example is more disturbing than the rest. It appears that Britney Spears is not only mentally unstable, but she is regressing to
Childhood.
basically
Here's a
to
$20 from
a
Greg
toddler.
$20 from Greg Duvier says, Phil, I am no longer excited for your new album. I found out some disturbing news about you yesterday, or about you on Tuesday. You have an Apple tattoo. F Apple. JK, release your album after PCC is over. This is your weekly reminder.
I very intentionally exposed you for having an Apple logo on your body.
I do.
Yep.
Apple is superior to PCs. The only people that like PCs are people that like to fuddle with them and mess around with them.
Or live stream.
PC itself, yeah, that's fair, but PCs themselves are part of the tinkering with them is part of why people like them. If you don't want to tinker with a computer, if you don't want the computer to be part of the hobby, you want to just do whatever it is that you're trying to do, Macs are the way to go.
Unfortunately, I did hear that Apple started bragging that they now put the exact time it takes to charge your phone to full battery on their phones,
Hey.
to which everybody with an Android said, wow, 5 years late much? Anyways.
Apple doesn't innovate. They only perfect things.
Okay. Okay.
True.
Earlier this week, it was Britney Spears' birthday. She turned 43 years old, but she appears to be under the delusion that she is 5 years old, and she is speaking in a baby voice to match.
We got a video here, so let's watch this.
I'm not really sure why the paparazzi have me going on a plane looking like I'm wearing a Jason mask. It doesn't even look like me. I don't know why I have a torch in my hand, honestly. I think my friend accidentally gave that to me. But anyways, it's my birthday. I'm not turning 42. I'm turning 5 this year. I'm turning 5 years old, and I have to go to kindergarten tomorrow. Baby strawberry, a very, very cute baby cake that my friend, it really kind of hurts my feelings that the paparazzi make my face look like I'm wearing a white Jason mask. It doesn't even look like me. They've always been incredibly cruel to me, the paparazzi in pictures and the way they've illustrated me to be in. Some of it, I know I'm not perfect at all by any means, but some of it is extremely mean and cruel. And that's why I've moved to Mexico.
She's moving to Mexico.
Yeah.
I suppose this is where I got
20 from King saying Linux supremacy.
I suppose I would like to point out early on that Mary was the one above and beyond that said that maybe Free Britney was a mistake. She was not all in on the freedom train for Britney.
I am vindicated on saying that Free Britney was a mistake. This woman is clearly not of her right mind. And even more worrying than her believing that she's 5 years old is she didn't even know her real age. She actually said that she was not turning 42. She was already 42. She turned 43 on Monday. She didn't even know her real age.
Might be look,
she's that disconnected from reality.
I'm not trying to disparage her here, but it sounds like somebody who might be on a multi-day bender on the substances, that your thought process can get disassociated like that, and you can be all over the place. I don't know if that's the case here.
People have pointed out that she very well could be sober right now, except for the fact that she was on antipsychotics for so long that the antipsychotics over a long period of time fried her brain.
Think so?
To the point where, she would appear to be under the influence now, even if she's not.
20 there.
Cesario JPN said, I hate that PCC was talking about wicked urine color tests, and my ex timeline is now flooded with a sick cartoon about drinking urine for diabetes, and there are medieval charts on how bad your pee is via its color, including green.
If you have green urine, you should go to the doctor.
Go to Planned Parenthood. They have a special deal for you.
Hey.
They do.
Thank you.
Woo! Thank you. And we, wait, what is it? Says, Mary was right about, look, I don't know.
You kept saying.
My natural instinct is to say until she becomes a danger to others, but I get your point.
We used to talk about Britney on the show a lot more frequently for whatever reason. Maybe more when she was active on social media, more than she is now. And repeatedly I said, like, this woman clearly is not responsible for her actions. Why should she have access to this amount of money, her own home? Why should she live alone?
I also have a problem
Why should
with-
she be driving? This is crazy.
Yeah. One of my issues with it is like all of the evidence is given through social media, which could be, I'm not saying that this is the case here, but I could see the argument that it's very, very hard to make such a choice about somebody when it could be something planned. She's a celebrity.
But
Like,
it's
it
been
could
for
be
such a
done to-
long
yes, I get what
time.
you're saying.
It's not an act. That's for sure.
You see what I'm saying, though, right? Like, my point is that there are people who make shock content where you would be able to be like,
this. She doesn't know that she comes off this way. She has no idea.
and Eugene in the chat thinks that she's trolling.
She is not. You don't do a 5-year-long troll where you're like pretending to be mentally ill.
Yeah.
Her preoccupation with the paparazzi as well.
It's very old school.
It reminds me of Amanda Bynes, because Amanda Bynes had a similar relationship with the paparazzi where she was so scared of them, like not for unjustified reasons, that she ended up in a hotel room and blacked out the windows with paint.
I mean, that could also
So
be
that they couldn't take pictures
too.
of her. The paranoia of like the drugs you're taking, plus the fact that you literally are being watched all the time, and that really messes with your self-perception. You're having candid photos taken of you at all times. That's gotta do a number on anyone mentally.
Who are we just talking about that was out and about Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, and talking about like how weird must it be to just be out doing something with your family on a holiday and random people
are 100 feet away
taking
photos.
Thoughts
of you.
on this, Phil? Thoughts on the...
I don't understand why people are still taking pictures of Britney Spears.
Well, I mean, if she's important enough for us to talk about here, it means that there's important enough of a market
It's
for
her Instagram that's important. It's not her. It's not taking pictures of her candidly. Like we wouldn't be talking about her if she wasn't putting these specific videos on her Instagram. She provides all of the content that's necessary. Candid photos of Britney Spears are literally worthless. So I don't know that there is. I mean, I'm surprised if there is a market for candid photos of Britney
Well, I mean,
Spears.
those magazines that those end up in, those are still on like grocery store shelves right before the checkout. Those magazines haven't gone away just because we don't read them.
I can't imagine why, but fine. But yeah, any value that exists in Britney Spears' public persona, it's all her own stuff. I don't know that I believe that there are a lot of paparazzi still going after her.
Well, I mean, she ends up on the front page of TMZ, like she got pulled over, and then there's paparazzi taking
arguments
pictures of her.
she had with her boyfriend in public,
Yeah.
or now ex-husband Sam Asghari, were also
At the very
Britney,
least,
stop acting
photographed.
crazy, and paparazzi will leave you alone.
She can't. She's clearly incapable of not acting crazy. She's not acting crazy. She is crazy. That's clear to me, at least. And this is kind of dark, but her son, Jaden, just turned 18. And he has suddenly decided he wants to reconcile his relationship with his mother out of nowhere.
On his 18th
After
birthday.
years of not living with her, not speaking to her, he now wants to have a relationship again, and it appears to be because of child support payments discontinuing.
Well, I thought they were still going to get them as
I-
long as they
yes.
were going to college in Hawaii.
I was under the impression that those child support payments and alimony was going to continue until both of her sons graduate college.
Page 6 had Britney Spears is done paying. Hold on, let me just put it up here. Britney Spears is done paying $20K a month in child support to ex Kevin Federline after 17 years. I thought it was funny the amount of people that were celebrating this online. I just don't imagine they would take the same approach if it was a dude celebrating not having to pay for his kids.
One
in the
thing
future.
that really seems unfair to me is the amount of hate that has been directed at her son, her 18-year-old son, for not having a relationship with her. Because can you imagine having Britney Spears as a mother?
I mean,
that just sounds like a nightmare. And the fact that she's posing naked on social media all the time, he was probably getting bullied for this.
Yeah.
And she even said that her sons were asking her not to do that.
Yeah.
They were asking her not to pose in like naked photos or like lingerie on social media because it's embarrassing, and she refused to stop. She must not have the wherewithal to stop, and that must be a huge reason why they stopped speaking to her and associating with her. But
and it's probably an emotional roller coaster. It's
I
not
can't
easy.
sit here and blame them for not having a relationship with her.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that some of her fans are like just as delusional as her.
Says at one point Federline was getting $40,000 a month because their two kids lived with him full time in Hawaii, but they settled on 20 after their eldest son Preston turned 18 last year.
I still don't think that the way that the conservatorship happened was okay, because her dad was using her and mistreating her, forcing her to undergo pharmaceutical drugs that clearly messed her up, and forcing her to work when she was not in the state to do so, like for so many years. That wasn't okay, but also her being left to her own devices is not okay.
Well, it created the situation where now she does need the help. Perhaps she didn't back then, and now she does.
Exactly.
I don't know. But she doesn't sound well.
And there are people saying that she's speaking in symbolism, like she's dropping hints about what she went through in Hollywood or
Those
whatever.
people are just as crazy as
They're
she
just
is.
as crazy as Britney. If they think that this is some kind of QAnon
I say
thing.
Britney-non.
This is Britney-non.
Britanon.
Really.
Britanon. All right. We'll have to wait and see, but it does not look good for her right now. All right.
There is a brand new docu-series that just got released a couple of days ago called Girls Gone Wild, The Untold Story.
Oh, God.
So obviously I was not around for the cultural heyday of Girls Gone Wild, but you know, it has a legacy that lives on to this day. And now Peacock is releasing this docu-series to go into an in-depth analysis of all of the untoward and possibly illegal actions that were involved in the making of these tapes.
Okay. Let's watch it here.
Yeah.
Watch the piece.
Did you imagine that one day you'd be sitting in a chair to talk about Girls Gone Wild?
I figured at some point I get a knock on the door.
The whole fantasy was that it was real. The girl you've had a crush on comes up to you and says,
It was so shocking.
Hey, I'm over here.
It blew my mind what Joe Francis was able to convince these young girls to do.
If I took no for an answer, I wouldn't be where I was.
Joe Francis was everywhere.
he's hanging out with famous people. In the first 2 years, Girls Gone Wild made $20 million.
Girls were already pulling their tops off and flashing the jet as we were pulling in.
I never thought that that would come back and haunt me for 20 years.
Did you know it was hardcore? Yeah, I worked there.
I was too young to be taped.
I first realized that these girls were minors when I got arrested.
Were you concerned about starting at a company where the CEO was in prison?
I guess,
Joe Francis, what a miserable little...
Joe is out of control.
He's been a fugitive for a decade now.
Do you feel bad for the girls?
Wait, what were you asking?
Is he a fugitive still?
Yes. He is living in Mexico in exile because he was sentenced to 270 days in jail for allegedly holding 3 women hostage in his home and allegedly assaulting one of them.
Don't we have an extradition?
During the I don't know why they aren't extraditing him, but during the appeals process, he just moved to Mexico and hasn't come back since. That guy, Joe Francis, created it. They say before the spread of social media and easy access to online porn, Joe Francis's multi-million-dollar Girls Gone Wild franchise had a shocking grip on popular culture. In Girls Gone Wild, The Untold Story offers an astonishing and wide-ranging account of a man whose impact on culture cannot be overstated, whose alleged sins are numerous, and who now lives in exile on a sprawling estate in Mexico amidst the rubble of his once mighty empire. So They say they're making the case that this franchise still has a hand in shaping discourse and popular culture today, even as the women featured in these tapes continue to live with the scars of having been included in them. This is based largely on reporting by journalist and co-exec producer Sachi Cole, who interviewed Joe Francis at his home in 2022, where for a decade he has been living in exile out of reach of legal action against him in the U.S. He has vehemently and repeatedly denied all allegations against him. The lasting impact of Girls Gone Wild is much darker than even previous investigations presented. Some of the women who, as college students or younger, were featured prominently in the videos have never been able to escape them. Mm-hmm. As a number of them recount in the series, people still message them online or brazenly come up to them in person asking for autographs or to solicit further adult content. Because they did it once 25 years ago with the help of a few shots, they must be willing to do it on the spot again today, right? Former employees detail coercive tactics that they were encouraged to use to get women to reveal themselves for the videos, which went well beyond flashing and would sometimes lead to the women being plied with alcohol as they filmed hardcore scenes. Training videos reveal how camera operators were told not to take no for an answer. So that sounds illegal.
There's a 20 there.
At least some of it sounds illegal. Anger Overdose said, TMNT fans, if you like experimental industrial metal, please check out our newest track, The Great Extra Dimensional Brain Kill. It's an epic tribute to Krang.
Let's go.
Not really my scene, but
go.
maybe you will check it out.
I mean, I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There you go.
What do you guys think so far? Is this exposing something that needs to be exposed, or is this making excuses for your bad behavior?
So this may be exposing things that need to be exposed. There is a bit of making excuses for your bad behavior, but at the end of the day, it's just exploiting the people involved, just like Girls Gone Wild did initially.
The first time.
Making this the whole point of making this is just capitalizing on the salacious stuff that happened back then.
An endless market for going back to the bad choices of the 90s and early 2000s and making money off of it once again, only in some type of wag your finger manner. There's a 20 there.
Go ahead.
We have Canadian dollars from Chris Cardinal. The fall of ideals is Chad vibes. Can Alberta get a shout out, guys?
Cheers. Love Alberta, Canada.
To me,
yes, it is going back to the well, and it's repurposing the product that was made back then to be profitable today. It's wagging your finger at it, like it's not. And again, it's not saying that any of that stuff was good, but the reason that they're dragging it up and reason that they're making this is so that way they can say, well, this is a whole new angle we can take and make money off of that old thing. It's repurposing. It's like, everything gets a sequel. This is a modernized sequel. That's literally all it is.
Girls Gone Wild to Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. No, what it is to me is it's a microcosm of how feminism has changed these industries. So people in the chat, in the comments, are saying it was OnlyFans before OnlyFans existed. But much like in Hollywood, which doesn't like to make women look attractive on screen, but has no problem with women dressing attractive on red carpets because they make their own choice to do it, the elimination of the man as the middleman who gets to profit off of it is how they see that. So 20 years ago, it was different because men were pushing them to go do it. They weren't in their right mind. They were being told to do this by guys, and then against their own best interests, they later realized that what they did was a mistake. Whereas now, the lie that they tell you is that OnlyFans allows them to control their own content and put it out, when the truth of the matter is a lot of these people work for agencies, and there's going to be documentaries 20 years from now about how OnlyFans did the same thing to them, in my opinion.
For sure, yeah. I think that'll be sooner than 20 years from now, actually.
Think so?
When there will be a reckoning for that industry. But I think there is a crowd of people talking past the other crowd of people. Obviously, this guy, Joe Francis, was training his employees to do things that were illegal.
I mean,
and at the same time, there were other things that were captured on video which were illegal that these women regret, and now they're placing the blame on the middleman instead of themselves. I do find it hard to believe that the women in these videos, 25 years on, are recognizable and get approached by strangers in the wild, recognizing them from Girls Gone Wild. I don't believe that happens.
Maybe if there was somebody who was on like a cover of a video.
Maybe. Even that. I'm like, really? Elijah Schaefer tweeted, "So here I am on camera years later to remind everyone who's already forgotten about that it happened, and also to alert all those who have never seen or never even saw the commercial that I was naked on camera. Seems like someone who is still looking for attention. You do you, though." So, yeah, there were a lot of cynical money-making incentives in the Me Too movement, and now its derivatives continue today.
I'm not even sure that this counts as part of the Me Too movement, because this is just like, this reminds me of the documentary on Vince McMahon, that just came out on Netflix, which I thoroughly enjoyed because I was a fan of WWE and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, it is a documentary on stuff that happened, so I feel like it is a little different. But at the same time, like, it is looked at through a today of a lens of today, modern sensibility.
Well, everything that they did in the Attitude Era to try and beat WCW couldn't be done today. The majority of it could not. Go back to watching DX imitate the Nation of Domination and have members doing actual blackface, which has been forgotten for the most part, or they don't mention it very much that they went out there and did that. But I digress. It would be, if you were to criticize that now, you're criticizing the behavior of, extremely competitive industries in the 90s when people were encouraged to be subversive and to push back against, the culture and not be so uptight. That was a hallmark of the late 90s, right? It was how far can you push things and get away with it? And we don't live in that lens anymore. You're not allowed to live in that lens.
Pushing the line nowadays, like even trying to push, is strongly frowned upon. We have a massively censorious and censorious society, and it's policed by the population.
Social media, right?
Like, well, not only social. What do you mean?
I'm just saying, like, the reason why companies and businesses would take risks back then is because the ratings are immediate, but the backlash comes later in the form of pamphlets and letters written to your head offices. Maybe some people call a helpline for or they call like WWE main office to complain.
Yeah.
Now they just
Social
go immediately
media.
to your company's Twitter page
Social
and complain.
Media,
and
it allows for a small group of people to make it seem as if it's a large group of people that are complaining.
It's funny because that's what Tim was talking about the concept of scaling when it comes to a healthcare industry, right? If you have 100 clients and there's one person where something bad happens, then you have a 1% failure rate. But if you have 1 million clients and you have a 1% failure rate, then if that 1% goes on social media and complains, it seems like a lot more than it is because it's all happening in one place. The same would be true of complaints. Sure, you might have 150, 200 people complain about your product on social media, and that seems like a lot of it's all hitting your timeline at the same time. But how many hundreds of thousands watched it that didn't write you anything? You don't think about the hundreds of thousands that didn't say anything. You only think about the stuff that comes to you directly.
We have a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Can you effing believe the Girls Gone Wild half-hour infomercials ran late night on Comedy Central, MTV, and Spike?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I can't because I didn't watch those. But we have another 20 from Gordon Shumway. As much as Girls Gone Wild exploited these women, they mostly filmed at Mardi Gras, Lake Havasu, and Fantasy Fest. Girls were acting like that for free or beads. It was straight up degeneracy regardless of the cameras. Having not experienced this firsthand, given that I was in diapers for most of the relevancy of Girls Gone Wild, are they overstating the cultural impact?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Was it really as big of a deal as they're saying it was?
I mean, it was a cultural phenomenon at the time. If you hear the name, you know what they're talking about. That's pretty indicative of whether something was relevant or not.
I think that it was. I don't think that they're overstating it. I don't know that it had an impact on society, but it was something that most people knew about. It was ubiquitous. Throughout society, as in people knew that it existed.
You're not going to talk to a millennial, somebody my age, and mention it, and they're going to say, what the hell is that? That's not a thing.
The funny thing is, my only impression of Girls Gone Wild and its existence was from watching Mean Girls, which came out in 2004, right?
Yep.
And there's this scene where they walk into Regina George's house, and she has a little sister who is not attended by her parents, not being supervised. She's watching this on the TV, and she's lifting up her shirt, imitating the girls that she's watching, which is more sinister than anything else.
Yeah.
It's more sinister than what's happening to the college girls or what they're participating in, is possibly the impact that it had on kids.
Mightier X in the chat says, Mean Girls was trying to warn us 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the only way. That is actually the only reason I know that Girls Gone Wild existed, because I watched that scene.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see the similar effects reverberating from pornography and OnlyFans, where girls are in a way groomed by the most successful creators on OnlyFans, making that lifestyle seem desirable and glamorous, and we're just having fun.
I don't know that it was glamorous, but I do think that it had a lot to do with feminism and with the
sex positive feminism.
Yeah, the sex positive feminism and the desire for young women to feel like they had the same rights as men, as young men. The idea that young men were always got out of everything with no accountability, which is not true, but that was presented to young women by the feminist movement strongly, and I think that that's what you see a lot. A lot of people that are Gen X and even some older millennials, they believe that there should be a society where no one is accountable for any of their behavior, and that's the only way you're actually free. Free doesn't mean able to do things and then have to deal with the repercussions. Free means able to do whatever you want with no repercussions.
I would say people are less accountable for their actions when they're less informed of the repercussions, or the possible consequences, which definitely applies to the women in these videos.
I feel like the abortion question and stuff like that, or that really is a strong argument against that statement, though, because everyone knows the repercussions of having sex, and yet people are not responsible.
Back then when this was coming out, I would argue that with the lack of social media and the immediacy of the repercussions, if you get caught on camera doing something, very likely their brain, plied by alcohol, is not forming the thought that this could come back to bite them later, because there was no immediacy to these actions.
I guess
back then.
What I mean by that is, like, we had a problem as soon as girls' fathers stopped telling them that men are dogs. Okay?
I mean, I feel like, have the dads stopped
if
doing
their
that?
fathers were involved at all, they should have told these girls, you don't
you get reprimanded. Men, for a long time, men have gotten reprimanded for trying to protect their daughters.
Yeah.
If you tell your daughter, don't have sex because
But more
men
than that, like,
can't trust men, whatever, like, you get reprimanded for that.
Thank you.
I've mentioned on the show more than a few times. There was like a boomer show that I loved in the mid 2000s called Las Vegas with Josh Duhamel and James Caan. And it was on ABC. It was a network television show. And one of the hallmarks of this show, taking place in Las Vegas, is all of the women are hypersexual, and all of them are sexually predatory, in the means that they know that being young, beautiful, and sexually active can get them the things that they want. And never once in the show is it shown as something bad or something that you shouldn't aspire to, because the men are shown also in a light that's not supposed to be derogatory, that men are sexual beings and will gladly give up wealth and things for sex, and neither side in that show seemed to shame them, which was indicative of the time period it was made in, meaning the early 2000s, when these discussions were pushing back against conservatism at a time when it probably was a little bit more relevant than they pretend it is to be now, right? Like the boogeyman of conservatism now, when everything in Hollywood and such is just classic, just awful neoliberalism. And there was episodes that would have like them filming stuff like that, and never once did they ever talk about it as if like, hey, maybe in 20 years I'm going to regret this.
That would be just logical to me, but you know.
It was, like I said, it was a different time.
Also, no one could have foreseen what that would happen when social media became a thing, like 15 years later. I can't blame them for not seeing that one coming.
A very big shift in a very short period of time.
Regardless, you shouldn't do something undignified, even if it'll be forgotten 5 seconds later. Even if, you know what I mean? You shouldn't do something that's beneath your dignity, even if you're the only one who will remember it. It doesn't matter if people are going to find out 25 years later or not.
Yeah.
You do that for your own integrity.
Yeah. Well,
you prevent yourself from ending up in those situations for your own integrity, for your own peace of mind.
I don't think
for your own safety.
I feel like, honestly, technology and how busy our lives are now, like how we're constantly under stimuli, makes it, people don't have to sit with their thoughts the way they used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we'll have to wait and see you at the, I imagine that maybe it's not 20 years from now, but there will be documentaries made in the same vein about the people who push OnlyFans.
This is just as much of a flash in the pan as Girls Gone Wild, in my opinion.
All right.
Well, let's ask Phil. Do you want to see Cringe or Cute of the Day?
Cringe. Get it out of the
Cringe.
way.
Oh, you never sent Cringe. I don't have a Cringe.
We don't have Cringe.
We don't have a Cringe today.
Go to Cute.
We go to Cute.
Maybe I'll have one in
maybe we'll do it at the end of the show.
The hopper.
I could have done the Cities by Diana. There was some. She's back on.
That's
on
not
her
cringe.
game.
That's just funny.
She's back on her game, ladies. In fact, you know what? Here, I'm gonna put on Cute.
Oh, I have Cringe.
Okay, send it. To me.
Definitely have.
Go ahead
Cringe.
and send it to me then, right now.
Well, just go to Cute
All
first.
Right, we will do Cute of the Day then first here, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we go. This one is amazing. It says, "Dumpling is a potato."
Oh, so stupid.
That is amazing.
No thoughts behind those eyes.
That is an adorable kitty. Let's do another
Very
one.
cute.
This one from Pat the Plumber. My brother's new pup Quinn relaxing after a Thanksgiving feast. Well, Quinn looks well fed.
Did Quinn get to eat the turkey?
I hope that Quinn got some good food.
Quinn's a good boy.
Quinn's a good boy. Let's do one more here. All right, this one's from Layla. Says, this is my mom's crusty little dog, Kenya. She's like 300, smells, is deaf, half blind, and her legs don't work so well. However, she's been a faithful companion for my mom for the past 2 decades. We love her very much.
Not a fan of the crusty dogs, but
I have an old crusty dog, and I love her to death.
Cute.
I like that one right there. That's a good pick. All right, did you send it?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Let's check it out.
It's another wicked cringe, but I just felt like it was so bad we had to watch it.
Let's go. Cute of the day. Let's move over to Cringe.
This crazy realization.
We can't see
and
it,
everyone's
Brett.
talking. What? I've been listening to you for so long.
Cynthia.
You're the voices I've listened to.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to sit here and do this together. It's really wonderful.
Well, it is for us, too.
You create something that meant that we could have a dream come true.
That's the dream. You get a part and you want it to keep going. You know, Dina has Rent. That show continues on. Frozen continues on. Wicked continues on.
Yeah.
Through you.
Oh, you paid.
It's true, though. It's
Have a
absolutely for
big
us.
deal, please.
It's my turn. I'm going to turn into a dolphin in a minute. Like,
I just want to skate over that. It's a big deal.
They
we all
raised their
sat here
thing,
together.
pitch of their voice.
They had to
work,
have.
And you passed something to us.
Yes.
And we get to give that out. It's really special.
It is. Once in a lifetime situation.
I'm so glad that we're still alive to see.
Dina, me too. Me too.
I mean, just because you change the pitch of their voice doesn't make what they're saying any
No,
less
the pitch.
nuts.
The pitch was not.
Yes,
changed.
it was. It was absolutely
This is literally posted on Entertainment Weekly. This is the original clip.
Oh my god.
This is the Entertainment Weekly page. This
This
is what they sound like.
I've been listening to you.
It feels manipulated to me.
It does.
It does. It doesn't sound.
It's emotionally manipulated.
Yeah.
See, I saw this comment that said, "Why do all of their interviews look like a couple going in for IVF counseling?"
They do, because they're always like clutching hands, like they're about to get test results.
Yeah.
All right, I am gonna show, just to clear the palette, I am gonna show A Cities by Diana.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
That was cringy.
Yes. That is not Cities by Diana.
Hold, please. I think I sent it to myself. Yep, there it is.
Is this one about
it's
Palo Alto?
I can't. Her profile's restricted now. You can't do that. I'm not logged in, so I can't.
Maybe she blocked you.
That would be horrible.
She blocked you because you're one of her crazy fans.
All right, so let's get started.
Well, maybe later.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that the year is closing out, there are all of these official ranking lists coming out for the top pop stars of not only the year, but this century, the 21st century. Billboard put together an official list of the top pop stars of this century, and it was very controversial. They decided that Beyonce is the #1 pop star of the 21st century, and Taylor Swift came in second. I know Taylor Swift is screaming into her pillow right now because she is so shrewd and competitive, but I think we know why this happened, don't we? It's because Taylor Swift is white and Beyonce is black. Is that too cynical of a read on it? I think that's pretty much clear.
Well, this person in the top says, in conclusion, talent won. So
yeah, no, okay. Beyonce is a better singer, but that's not the point. Billboard explained their criteria for how they chose Beyonce as the #1 pop star. They said, while Taylor Swift is the century's biggest pop star by the numbers, from album sales to streams to touring dominance, our editorial staff has chosen Beyonce as our #1 greatest pop star of the century based on her full 25 years of influence, evolution, and impact.
But it's supposed to be about the 21st century, not her full length of influence.
Well, she debuted in the 21st century, so that is why they're saying it.
Listen, as someone that has been in the music industry and is familiar with how these things go, it is largely a popularity contest, and it is by people in the industry. So it is all industry approval. They gave Taylor Swift the second spot because they couldn't get away with not having her be on there. But honestly, it probably caused them significant discomfort to give Taylor Swift the second spot. What was the rest of the list again?
Well, it's strange to me. There are a lot of rappers on this list I wouldn't consider pop stars.
Rihanna, Drake, and Lady Gaga.
Beyonce, from the top, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Rihanna, Drake, Lady Gaga, Britney Spears. She deserves to be higher up. Kanye West, also not a pop star. Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Adele, Usher, Eminem, Nicki Minaj, Justin Timberlake, Miley Cyrus, Jay-Z, Shakira, The Weeknd, BTS, Bruno Mars.
The Weeknd just came
Lil
out
Wayne,
last week.
One Direction,
2012.
Bad Bunny. I don't know why Bad Bunny is on here. Ed Sheeran, and then Katy Perry last.
Bad Bunny is on there because of his global influence, not his American influence. The Weeknd has been around for longer than you'd think, like 2010.
But it is about impact, and he didn't really have as much of an impact until the late 2010s.
But I'm saying what they're saying is I guess he did a lot in a shorter period of time, and he is also, if we're talking Spotify, he's consistently the top streamed artist on Spotify.
Rihanna being #3 is insane as well because she hasn't released music for close to a decade now.
I suppose that speaks to her influence. One thing that, to your point about Kanye West and about
Eminem, Drake.
So what that is, it's kind of what we've talked about before, is you're no longer allowed to be genre specific. Everything has to be categorized into one big corpo slop.
So what? This is all pop.
It's all pop music now.
I guess you did see a turning point in the late 2010s where the dominant music genre became rap instead of pop. So they would be considered pop, I guess, colloquially. But just by the numbers, it's true. Taylor Swift was the most streamed artist of this year, whereas Sabrina Carpenter had the most streamed song of the year, Espresso. And then another publication, People Magazine, gave Beyonce the best album of 2024 for her country music. Cowboy Carter.
Again, there was no cultural impact of that album this year.
I couldn't name any songs off of Cowboy Carter.
What would it be then?
It would have been she had the one song that became TikTok famous.
What was the top album of 2024?
It would have had to be Taylor Swift.
No, not Taylor Swift. Because her album wasn't remembered after a month. Brat was the top album of
I mean,
this
I don't
year.
even know how much
Is that by Charlie?
Charlie XCX had the top album of this year. In terms of impact, yes. I will stand by that. Rolling Stone actually named Brat the #1 album release this year.
I would buy more that's political influence playing into that so that they can lean into what they were trying to do for Kamala Harris.
But you weren't tuned into it before the Kamala tie-in. I was. I knew that Brat was already a meme that was spreading everywhere before Kamala was Brat. So that obviously propelled it into more relevance, but I think Charlie XCX deserves that, not Beyonce.
I feel like Kamala Harris not winning makes that why that would happen. Like if Kamala Harris had won, then sure.
Then Charlie would get the credit.
But since she didn't win, it was a rebuke of that as anything popular and anything real other than a bunch of political operatives pushing it in an insincere way.
But also Brat Summer was already over by the time the election happened.
Yeah.
So it was what it was. It was a moment in time. So I do think that was justified. But Taylor Swift being #2, I mean, should she be #1? Do you think she should be #1?
Yes, clearly.
Yeah.
Of this century?
Of the last 25 years? Is she the biggest artist? I mean, compared to what, Beyonce? I would put Taylor Swift
Any of the
higher.
people on this list?
I don't see any of them as more influential, I guess, but maybe I'm wrong.
Even, Justin Bieber being on this list, it's odd that he's so high up because he's on semi-hiatus too.
Yeah, but again, he started in what, 2009?
Justin Timberlake being on this list is insane to me. He wasn't that relevant.
He was very relevant. He was very he is one of the best examples of somebody transitioning from a group into a singles career. He is.
Okay. I guess.
He belongs on that list every bit as much as Miley Cyrus belongs on that list.
Okay. Fair enough. I do think this is a race thing.
As far as
Beyonce.
The
Beyonce worship is out of control. I've said this before. She has never been what the media says she is. And also, her most recent music is played in gay clubs. Like, that is a subculture still.
She had the one song this year, what was it, Hoedown, that...
Her country music sucked.
That became like a TikTok trend.
Her country album was basically a mockery of country music. She also hates country fans because they're racist Republicans. And it was basically a parody of the entire genre.
I mean, yeah, it's what we said before. Like, most of it always feels like they want to just drop everybody into another genre so that they can expand their audience base rather than actually meaningfully connect with what that genre is. People had the same critiques at first of Post Malone doing country, but then people realized that what he wanted to do was that all along, and he did rap first, right?
That was a good transition for him.
Yeah, I think that. But again, I'm partial to him over.
Do you agree that this is kind of racial?
The choice to choose her.
Because I believe that if Billboard put out this list and put Taylor Swift at the top, it would have been a massive meltdown on Twitter.
No, I don't think.
I really.
Oh, a meltdown on Twitter. Yeah, I guess.
Genuinely, I think that people would freak out because Taylor Swift got this #1 prize for being white.
When did
that's what they
Taylor
would credit
Swift
it to?
Debuted in what, 2006 or something like that. Beyonce was doing Destiny's Child when the new millennium hit, so she has more time.
True.
On that list.
Yeah.
The real loser is Kelly Rowland, who just disappeared completely.
Beyonce also debuted solo at the same time as Taylor Swift.
Around that
so
time,
they're counting that in. Nate sent us a 20. Thank you, Mary. Say it again. That album sucked. I need to say it if no one else will.
I wonder if Jay-Z's mad that Kanye ended up higher on the list.
Deserved, though, for Kanye. Yeah. I'm actually surprised that they put Kanye so high up on the list, given his controversies in the last couple of years.
That shows a bit of of lack of bias there, that they're willing to list. I mean, they could have just left him off the list entirely, and I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't even have thought twice about it.
Yeah.
Because he's been excommunicated from the media so thoroughly in the last few years.
I'm also so disconnected from the K-pop world. Like, it sounds AI generated to me. Yeah. And I don't understand why it became as relevant
but
as it has. But I've only noticed that women in the West, like white chicks in the West, care about K-pop since like 2019.
Because they don't get actual American boy bands anymore. So
that's the problem. They had to like fill that market demand.
Yeah.
But there were no, there were no NSYNCs left. There were no Backstreet Boys left. There were no One Directions.
I actually feel like The Weeknd would be higher. I thought he'd be higher on this list. I did.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I thought he would go higher on this list because he seems to always win. Like, it's not like he releases stuff and it flops.
Katy Perry got shafted at number 25. She ran pop music in the early 2010s, late 2000s, early 2010s.
So it's kind of showing exactly where your age range starts, because her starting point, Justin Timberlake was like right before that on his own. When we're talking about like Cry Me a River in like 2008 or something like that. And that's after think about the late 90s being when he would get his start in a boy band and then become relevant again. I kind of look at that as the same way as like some artists don't feel like they have streamlined careers where it just is consistent. They are kind of reborn and start again and have like a second round. Think Shawn Michaels in WWE having like multiple primes in his career. Like you don't just keep going. You start, you have one career, and then you come back and you have a separate career. And Justin Timberlake also, he delved into acting as well as other stuff.
And also, like, when it comes to Justin Timberlake, like, he's got a whole career doing Disney stuff that's basically behind the scenes.
Yep.
Phil, did you get your Spotify Wrapped?
I don't have a Spotify.
You don't use Spotify, so you don't have it.
No.
Oh.
BTS and Bad Bunny are their examples of globalism come home to roost, because everyone's like, "What's up, Bad Bunny?" But Bad Bunny is ridiculously huge internationally.
I literally learned who Bad Bunny was 2 years ago, but apparently I wasn't paying attention.
I think I learned who Bad Bunny was like this year.
Yeah,
and
but then you hear.
You mean the chick that was on Dr. Phil?
But then you see that Bahad Bahabi. You see that, and then you look at their video views, and they're like a gazillion.
Yeah.
It's like what's his name? The dude who sang Gangnam Style. Like he's like internationally
he was the first
gigantic.
Guy that got to a billion.
Yeah, he's a huge star. It's just that he's a one-hit wonder to us. And Americans do have this habit of thinking that unless it's happening here, it's not happening anywhere else.
In a sense, it's true, though, right? For at least
less
the time being,
less so now.
America, what is the saying? America sneezes and the world gets a cold. Like, that's still true.
It was worse before. I mean, it was more prominent before.
Yeah.
Like now there's a lot more melding of cultures than there ever was.
I realized that when Despacito came out.
Yeah. Racial, yeah. I mean, but also I think you're right that there is a lot of worship around Beyonce.
They can't let a blonde-haired, blue-eyed queen of pop win. And I'm not even a Swiftie. I can say this as an objective observer. Phil is a Swiftie, so he has bias. But I can say for sure Beyonce did not deserve number 1 on this list.
All right.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Thrashing Thursday, Brett, Mary, and Phil. Since I know y'all aren't going to review it, I'm going to see the Mary movie tomorrow and will write a review for Sunday. I hope it is at least passable."
Is it getting a theater release?
Well, I guess that just means you're going to watch it at home on Netflix.
Because it's possible that they might do a limited theater release to make it possible for Oscar contention, but I don't know if you're submitting many movies about Mary for Oscar contention unless it's, what's that one, Conclave?
Yeah, I don't think so. James Coteridis said, "Hey Phil, I brought my mom for her birthday to see you guys in Boston. Unfortunately, we just barely missed the meet and greet. Her name is Carolyn. Would you be able to wish her a happy belated
birthday, Carolyn? I'm sorry you missed the meet and greet. We don't really have much control over the time schedules and stuff, so we do it when we can. So, sorry."
DCNC said, "Bretto, I submitted you to partake in Lily Phillips' marathon. I hope you don't mind."
What? You should be asking Mary that question, not me. I don't give a crap. You do you, man.
You gonna fly to the UK for this event?
You do you.
Thank you.
Wrap it up tight, my friend. Like,
well, no, you're submitted. He submitted your.
I thought he said he submitted himself.
No, he put you in the running.
Well, I just won't accept the callback.
There are callbacks. There's like a whole audition process.
Yeah.
New guy don't haze me. Since Phil is on, were things pretty cordial off camera with the Timcast crew and Cenk Uygur when he was on the show the other night?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
What's the least cordial there's ever been off air?
I think we might know.
There was a guy that was kind of relating everything to, I forget what his name was, but he was kind of relating everything to Israel, and that got pretty. Tim and him got into it pretty heated. But Cenk was here because he doesn't want to be associated with the far left crazies. He spent, I think it was on Thanksgiving, if not, it was like the day after. But he spent like a few hours on Hassan's podcast or Hassan's stream, fighting with everybody in Hassan's chat because they're all morons. And so is Hassan. But they essentially, the argument that they have, the whole thing boils down to, Kamala Harris lost because they didn't put a leftist up. But that argument doesn't hold water when you look at the actual results, how everybody voted towards the right, and their response to that is even dumber than their initial argument, which is, well, the leftists just stayed home. There isn't enough leftists that would vote for someone that far left to offset the people that would not vote for a moderate and still beat Trump. But Cenk was making the argument, look, the defund the police stuff was really, really bad. It turned a lot of people off because they don't like dealing with the crime that comes when you don't have a police presence. The open border stuff, the no border, no wall, no USA at all, like that kind of stuff. Your average American likes America. Even if they are willing to criticize it, they like the country, and they don't like the idea of just dissolving the United States. And that's one of the things that the far left talks about. And Hassan just wouldn't listen to him. He was, arguing. So with the movement to legitimately the movement to the right that Anna Kasparian has done and that Cenk has done, the people like the smaller accounts like the Serfs and like who is it? The Majority Report, Sam Cedars' dumb show, and also people like Cenk and stuff. I'm not Cenk, Hassan. Like they're really kind of at a position where they aren't able to honestly assess what happened and still please their audience, because their audience is the farthest.
They're honest about it.
They're the farthest left people that you're gonna find. So even though Hassan has a bunch of people that watch his show, it's an international audience. He doesn't have, like, it's not like 99% of the people there are from the US. And the people that do watch, even if he gets a million viewers a show, which he doesn't, but even if he got a million viewers a show, there's still 330 million Americans.
That's what I was talking about, scaling, right?
It's a small portion of the United States. So, and they refuse to acknowledge that because they don't want to believe that their opinions are unpopular, because according to them, we have the good and moral and right positions. So if I'm wrong, then that means that we might not have the good and moral and correct positions.
You know what, when that bothered me the most is when in the middle of COVID and like the worst part of COVID, when they were constantly comparing death statistics from like one country to another, and they're like, look at how many more people have died in America than Italy. And then you're like, do you understand the size disparity between like America and some of these countries?
But I did eat breakfast this morning.
All right, let us move on.
Due not only to J.K. Rowling's tweets and her controversial views on gender ideology, the Harry Potter series that's in development at HBO Max is mired in controversy, and it seems to only be getting worse as they're finally making some casting announcements. There are rumors that they are planning to race swap Snape in the series with an African actor I have never heard of named... you care to pronounce this?
Yeah, it's Papa Essiadu.
And he was in the Anne Boleyn show,
yes,
actually, where they notoriously race swapped Anne Boleyn with Cynthia Erivo, right?
Yes, yeah.
So he's not a stranger to that type of controversy either. But he has been offered the role as reported by Hollywood
Yes.
Reporter.
That is the most important thing here, guys, is these are reports from places like Variety and the Hollywood Reporter. And I do want to point out early on that one of the most common explanations for something like this would be a press release leak from an agent to try and put pressure on a studio to make this casting call because it's already been put out there. Or it could also be the studio leaking the information to look and see what the public response would be to this. As we know, the way that you're going to get away with this would only be if it was an actor of such name recognition that it could blot out all of the talk about race swapping one of the most important characters in the show. We know that the internet is going to collectively turn its nose up at this because they're not going to want it. J.K. Rowling's properties are already mired in constant controversy, and I do mean constant controversy given her political beliefs, not even her political beliefs, her one political belief that disagrees with anything. That's okay.
We just got a 20 from DJ. Thank you for the sticker.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think you're right that this is either a test for public response from Warner Brothers, or it's Essiedu's agent dropping this info to the media and seeing if Warner Bros. Is going to take the bait. Either way, since they have seen an overwhelmingly negative response from the fans, they should run from that decision.
Yes.
Obviously, this is a terrible idea.
I laugh because Snape is described as greasy-haired, sallow-skinned, hook-nosed, a genuinely unpleasant figure to be around. He doesn't. This actor does not have sallow skin, and it's not gonna work, guys. And here's the other thing. Aside from
work because they don't care.
No, they have to care. They have. First of all, these companies do not have the money to not care anymore. I truly do believe that. So one of the things that's going on right now, Jeff Bezos, David Zaslav are talking about how they're excited about Trump's presidency because it can allow them to operate more freely in an economic fashion, right? So they don't have the money right now to get this wrong, in my opinion. Also, as far as the actor goes, following up Alan Rickman is just a really, really hard thing to do.
What I'm worried about is that this is some kind of ploy, that they're using a race swap as a shield because this series is attached to J.K. Rowling, who is definitively not approved by the woke crowd.
Yes.
So they're going to overdo all of the woke stuff in the show to counteract that perception, so it's not seen as aligned with her as strongly.
Then they're disconnected from reality. If that's what they're if the point is that you're going to cater to the people online for that, then it's not going to work long term. Like this will not win you back the people that dislike J.K. Rowling.
No.
It will not. And it's going to anger the people that are terminally online and do care about this stuff. And the regular fans are just going to go, huh?
Why is Snape black
now?
That doesn't make much sense.
Look, and that is one of J.K. Rowling's best traits. Despite all of her Twitter talks, everything that she discusses about transgender issues, she has kept Harry Potter, for the most part, a loved franchise among normies. This allows normiedom to be affected by the culture war in a way that could hurt you as far as profitability goes.
We have 20 Canadian dollars from Mr. Moose Knuckle. Every average normal person to Hollywood, could you not race swap established characters for 5 minutes?
No.
Clearly not.
Look,
they're not capable of doing
agree.
that.
I see 16-bit in the chat, and I would have agreed with I said it yesterday. If Adam Driver could pull off a British accent, he might be the closest you're going to get to young Snape.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I don't think maybe they do this. Maybe they just dub his voice. That what do they just hey, talk in a normal American voice, and we'll get another British actor to do dub the lines.
Give Adam Driver a dialect coach. It'll be fine.
Also, the other thing that I thought about, I tweeted about it earlier. I said, you know what they're thinking about right now? After that Snow White trailer, how are you going to cast those goblins? Huh? Right. Are we getting CGI goblins this time? Or are we going to get actual actors?
People were even trying to hedge and run cover for Peter Dinklage after the CGI dwarves were seen in the trailer. They were like, some people were reiterating the fact that this was Peter Dinklage's fault.
Yep.
Because he said that it's backwards and regressive to put little people in roles that are in the fantasy genre for some reason. And they were trying to say, like, no, Peter Dinklage was just pointing out this, like, really nuanced like this really, like, they were trying to point out the nuance in Peter Dinklage's criticism of that. There was no nuance. He literally just said that it's evil and backwards to cast dwarves as dwarves.
Yep.
But once again, I do think J.K. Rowling is the type of lib who would be on board with race swaps in the first place, and we do know that she is deeply involved with the writing and the casting for this show. So,
well, I don't know
if
about writing.
this is,
she was deeply involved in the casting and the hiring of the writer
Yes.
and the showrunner.
Yes. So, you know, if this rumor has any truth to it, I don't discount the possibility that this is J.K. Rowling signing off on it.
Yeah.
People forget that.
I would believe
she's a
it, yeah.
transphobe. She's still a lib through and through. Always has been, probably always will be.
So Ryan Cannell said he does point. He goes, Dean Thomas, Lee Jordan, Angelina Johnson, and Kingsley Shacklebolt are black. Snape is white. They're not going to adhere to those rules unless they're smart. They're going to just cast the way that it looked in the books. I don't know if they're going to. But then you get these takes, which I find to be the absolute most bonkers. This says, hot take, I actually am against casting non-white people to play popular fictional characters until these studios have actionable plans to protect black people cast in these roles. I do not enjoy experiencing the digital lynching that occurs every 3 months as a cast is announced. To which I would ask you...
Did I just hear the words digital lynching?
Yes. I want to ask, in all fairness, what does that type of protection from the studios actually look like in its execution? Like, how do you actually do that? Like, I get what you're saying, but other than telling them to grow up, be adults, and hire a therapist if you need one, what do you mean by that?
What was Amanda Stenberg expecting from Disney to protect her fifis? Or the chick who played Mother Alice, what is it? What was her name in the Acolyte? Alicea.
Yeah.
Mother Alicea in The Acolyte did this interview like a month ago saying that she is mad at Disney for not protecting her, but she didn't really explain what she meant by that.
And here's why you don't placate to this type of narrative, because this is 2 down from that person's post where he just also says F J.K. Rowling.
Okay, so we know what you really think.
Yes.
Or kind of saying the quiet part out loud.
This is what he goes on to say. I'm no expert, but I would have a plan to hire diverse staff so actors feel safe on set, meaning you can only feel safe around people that look like you.
Well, yeah.
Recruit counselors to help actors manage the backlash, and take public stances as a studio in support of the casting and anti-racism. Basically, don't let them navigate it alone. You have infantilized an entire generation of adults who should be able to handle these things on their own. Now, if you want to talk about having sitting the kids down who get hired to be on this show, and especially the kids and their parents, and inform them what it's going to be like to be hired to be on a show of this caliber, of this size, with an internet audience that is this volatile, I understand that. That makes perfect sense to me. But adult actors have to make these decisions for themselves. It is a sad fact of the connected world we live in now digitally that you are no longer shielded from the opinions of others, and you don't get to take IP of this magnitude and expect it to both make gazillions of dollars and have a negligible footprint as far as online discourse. That's not how it works.
The sad truth of the matter is, for the children who will be cast in this show, they don't have to be worried about toxic fans online. They don't have to be worried about toxic people on Twitter. They actually need to be worried about the journalists who they will be interacting with while doing press for this show. Because the journalists are incentivized to corner any of the talent into making statements about politically and socially divisive issues like gender ideology. They will be expecting actual 11-year-old children to answer for the views of J.K. Rowling.
Yes.
Unless they are expressly stopped from doing so. The children need protection from the media, not from, I don't know, what racist Harry Potter fans, if that even is a real group of people.
Well, think about here's a way to draw your attention to how it could have been fixed in the most basic of ways. Right now, there's endless videos being made about the absolute crap storm that's going on. That is Captain America 4: Brave New World, and a lot of it has to do with people's issues with Anthony Mackie being recast, away from Falcon and becoming Captain America, which is technically comic book accurate, but a limited run from the all new, all different Marvel that nobody cares about. Everybody wanted Bucky, but here's what could have happened. Imagine that you go into a time machine and you go back to before Endgame, and instead of making, Anthony Mackie, instead of making Sam Wilson Captain America, you just made a Falcon movie, and then none of the discourse around it becomes about race at all, unless you choose to use that in your storytelling. Now it doesn't even matter if you address it in your storytelling, which they did in Captain America, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but it only will become a part of the story if you make it part of the story. Just by race swapping at all, it's part of the story without you even wanting it to be. And you could have done that here by just casting someone that actually looks like the character, but that's not what they want, and that's not what's going to happen. I don't know if I believe this rumor. Inherently, I think that this is a very, very well... I feel like the first casting announcement we get will be somebody other than Snape. I think it'll probably be, say, a Dumbledore.
Well, I saw someone say it's just stupid enough to be true, and I agree with that.
Yes.
Because there are still people who will argue with you that Hermione is not described as pale in the books, so that you can justify a stage actor being cast as Hermione who is black. They will still argue that until they're blue in the face.
What if they'd been like, this guy's playing Voldemort?
Just, you can't entertain this nonsense. But I also think this would be J.K. Rowling's idea. It smells of J.K. Rowling. She is still a lib at the end of the day, and she has done retroactive woke edits to the storylines. This sounds like something she would have her hands on.
All right, we'll wait and see.
All right, DCNC said, pretty sure I saw Dane Font on a street corner in London today. Hope he's doing all right.
Where did you see him? Like, what street?
Can't imagine why you would find him there, but he's Mr. Worldwide. Professor Freakoff said, Apple is for tech illiterate boomers and kids. Are you a tech illiterate boomer?
The entire music industry disagrees. The entire music industry, up until the past maybe 5 years, Pro Tools on a Mac has been industry standard forever. You're wrong.
I can't believe people are this passionate about it.
I meant to make a poll at the beginning of the show as soon as it started about like Android versus Apple, and I forgot to do it.
Like I said, the vast majority of people that like PCs and stuff, you'll find that they like tinkering with them. The PC is part of their, like, being able to go in and change it around and customize it and make it your own. That tinkering is part of why they find them superior.
Yeah.
Almost exclusively. When you have people that are like, I just want a computer that does the thing I want it to do, and you're not concerned about making the computer your thing, the whatever the...
That's most people.
That's why...
Yeah.
Well, that's why so many people have been so frustrated with PCs for so long. If you don't want your PC to be the thing, if you want to just do whatever it is that that's why the iPhone was so popular. Like, there were smartphones that did stuff that the iPhone did before the iPhone, but the iPhone was such a well-received piece of technology because it made it simple for the average person. The reason he's saying, oh, it's for boomer, blah, 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 is because I don't want to dick with the stupid computer. I want to do the thing that I want to do, not have to dick around with all the settings in the computer. And that's literally why that's why the people like PCs over Macs.
I hate the new iOS update, though.
Yeah, there are times where it's like they're just updating stuff just to update stuff so they can say it's different.
Gladly turn all of your group chats green.
DCNC said, Phil, I'ma drop a Phil loves you and PCs sign on Karl Marx's headstone.
I
Is that
don't.
illegal?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably illegal.
Serenco Productions said, yeah, maybe hashtag Free Britney wasn't such a good idea. Yeah, you're telling me. Yurishima Otaru said, if you have green urine, stop drinking blue dye. Simple math.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said, Britney sounds like a 3-year-old. If the 3-year-old had a pack a day habit, Mary is totally vindicated in her opinion. As I always am. Nothing new here. Red Snow said, Feliz Hueves gang?
Thank you.
Okay. Greg Duvier said, Apple's is communist of the tech world. Once I can put their OS on any computer and stop their init repair stance, then I will give them a try.
Again, the reason why he wants to do that is he wants to be able to put it on other computers and mess around with it. Like, the point of Apple product is you don't have to worry about dicking around with the computer.
Literally
you do
no
the stuff.
Females are 50% of the population. No female wants to do that.
Well,
No,
I mean, I
they
don't know
don't
about no,
exist.
but it's not a lot.
I've seen
of
one
them.
or two examples, but
Very
no.
few. Like, and I don't want to dick around with a computer. I used to stream I used to do streaming on Twitch, and I would do like sing all the main stuff. And dicking around with the computer was the worst part
When were you doing that?
during COVID.
Oh, just got bored.
Yeah, you got nothing to do. And it was cool, but literally the worst part was dealing with the PC, dealing with the computer, because they're difficult. It's not any fun for me. I don't like putzing around with a computer, and that's what everybody wants.
We should make a short. We need to make a short out of this. Phil goes off on Android and PC.
Look, I don't have a problem with Android and PC, but people that are saying that Android and PC are better, they're always like, well, I can do this with the computer. I can make the computer do that. And it's like, yeah, well, I want to go on the internet.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to worry about that stuff. I want to go on the internet. I want to do the things that the computer allows me to do, not mess around with the computer itself. I want the computer to be invisible.
To be fair, like, I'm stuck with my phone because Galaxy has discontinued doing any micro SD slot on their phones, which was my favorite part of owning an Android phone, was to be able to have a micro SD slot, and now they don't do that anymore, so can't get that foldable phone quite yet.
Corey Anderson said the girls gone wild then are just OF thoughts today.
Well, that's not really, because the OF thoughts today are monetizing, and the women back then were, they were doing it for the love of the game. Okay,
Right.
They were flashing titties for the love of the game, and now it's all about money. Nobody's honest anymore.
Yeah, the OnlyFans creators are definitely profiting more from what they're doing. Corey Anderson said, don't listen to these women's sob stories. A majority of them did it of their own accord and believe they are above accountability.
I mean, I'm sure the majority of the ones that they're not going to tell you in this thing is just the very boring story of, 21-year-old college girl or 20-year-old college girl goes to bar, flashes her titties, and then regrets it later. Sad story, her own choice.
Most of the tits that you would see on Girls Gone Wild are attached to women who have nothing to do with this documentary.
Yes.
And would never want to be involved in the documentary because it's stupid. And they have possibly no regrets whatsoever.
They've moved on.
They have moved on. It has been 25 years. It's been a quarter of a century.
I mean, if these same women went to a topless beach in France, they would snicker about it with their friends and then not think anything of it.
I'm picturing, like, there's got to be one woman who's got, like, a copy of the tape she was on, and she puts it in the VCR for old time's sake.
Show the great grandkids
every
one
once in a while, maybe not show the family, but every once in a while, she's feeling particularly unattractive one day. Maybe she's had a bad day. She's, like, hearkening back to better times.
Oh, yes. Wholesome.
Let's hold off on the rest and let's
All
move
right.
on. Speaking of all of that,
I think that we have found the final boss of OnlyFans creators. Her name is Sophie Rain, and she just revealed the absolutely shocking amount of money that she has made on the platform so far. I see that she's even posted receipts to prove the truth of this. I didn't believe it at first. I thought maybe she is using shock tactics for subscribers, but here is the video where she reveals her income. It's $4 million a month.
Okay, here we go.
You're the final boss when it comes to OF, right?
Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
Mm-hmm. And I know you saw the clip of Julia making $400,000 a month, so I just need to know, like, how much are you making a month?
I don't know if I, I don't really want to hurt your feelings. I just don't.
Hurt my feelings? What do you mean?
I don't want to.
The humble bragging.
You don't have to say,
is
just
crazy.
show me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I won't break your phone. I actually like kind of tearing up. $4 million? $4 million in a month?
Yeah.
400,000 the last 7 days, in case you were not even, it's more than that. Thanks. This, I can't even be mad at you. Like, this is y'all's fault. Like, how do y'all men even have that amount of money? You have wives, children, baby mamas, bills. Women, if you're seeing this, go through your man's phone. Because $4 million a month, I promise you will find that link in his search history. Go to private, go to the private tab. It's right there. Sophie Rain, Spider-Man video, bot. Sick, you weird. It's weird.
Wait.
Because she also looks 14. So, get your bag, I guess.
Thanks.
$4 million.
She was mad.
Disgusting.
Disgusting, she said. It's disgusting, but not for the reasons she thinks. Sophie Rain's OnlyFans earnings make billionaire Michael Jordan's biggest NBA check look like a joke. So that all adds up to somewhere between $43 and $48 million per year, which is insane. Owing in large part to the ultimate simp.
Yes.
Sophie Rain, I think, has the most pathetic simp on the planet, who gave her $4.7 million in the span of 11 months. This is her top spender, who goes by Charlie on the platform. He gave her basically a tenth of what she has now.
Charlie EY? Maybe Charlie's a girl.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
Color me shocked.
We live in a progressive time now, guys. That could be a girl.
We do.
Yeah. Can you just imagine being that guy? Like, you just have millions upon millions of dollars just laying around and you decide to spend it on an OnlyFans page?
I think most of the time, we've talked about these situations before, they always end up being like crypto millionaires.
Must be.
Yeah.
But like, even then, it doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe Charlie just lost a bunch on Haktua coin and now can't afford it anymore.
He bought Bitcoin at like 10 cents.
Yeah.
This guy is like a multimillionaire, possibly billionaire off of crypto. He still has the self-esteem of a brokey, so he believes that the only action he can get is from an OnlyFans woman.
That's if you can afford to give that much money to an OnlyFans woman, like, you've got enough money to like go and do things in the world and be in places where you could meet people.
That's why it's so confounding to me.
Yeah.
You know, you have enough money that could impress just about any hoe out there. But you decide instead
human being
to pour millions of dollars digitally into this OnlyFans page.
Maybe just doesn't like actual human contact.
Is this money laundering? Is this a front for illegal stuff? I don't know.
I would imagine, I do hope to any woman making this amount of money that you please pray and hire the best tax lawyer you can find to make sure that you're not going to get spanked by the government as much as you might like that.
Sophie Rain followed up this news saying, "You can call me whatever you want. I will be laughing my way to the bank."
Yep.
Heart emoji. And, you know, I don't know what she was hoping to achieve with saying this, but she followed up all of this news. She was trending because of this video coming out, people finding out how much money she's made. She decided to capitalize on that trending moment by announcing to the world that she is still a virgin. She has been on OnlyFans for just over a year, making $43 million so far at the minimum. And she claims to still be a virgin and a devout Christian.
I don't think we're going to watch. The clip is 3 minutes long. I don't think we should even bother watching it. But she does
do that?
Yeah.
Well, let's just see what she says. I'll tell you when to cut it off.
I don't want people thinking that I advertise to kids because that is the last thing I want.
No, of course, I get that.
Yeah, I that was never my intention.
Pikachu's just hanging out in the background.
Thank you.
What happened was that it just, like,
Hold on.
Dance break. Through the degeneracy.
Remember, Brett's too good to do this.
Too good to dance.
Okay, where were we? Here we go.
All right.
I watched your video. That didn't sit well with me personally because it just kept me up at night, and I really don't like that you think that way.
Yo, really? Was it that bad?
I don't want anyone thinking that about me. I'm a Christian. Like, I know it's like, it seems odd. I'm doing, what did you call it? OnlyFriends? I don't do anything else with anyone on my OnlyFriends. Like, it's just me. I was just trying to do social media. I've always wanted to be like an influencer. You know, I look up to all these different influencers, and I was like, I want to do that just for, shits and
Okay,
giggles.
see, the pattern continues. As I said earlier, this girl saw OnlyFans being marketed to her as a glamorous, empowering lifestyle, took the bait, and she is the 1 in a million chance you have of actually making it in this industry. However, no amount makes it worth it, in my view. It will leave you impoverished nonetheless on the inside.
Spiritually impoverished.
Yeah, spiritually. But this says, OnlyFans star who made $43 million in 1 year says she is a devout Christian virgin. She made nearly $5 million from one individual.
That collection plate better be overflowing when you go to church.
Yeah, she told YouTube streamer Kowski that she is a virgin till this day. She defended her actions because it's just her on her account. She said, I'm a Christian. I know it seems odd that I'm doing OnlyFans, but I don't do anything else with anyone on my OnlyFans. It's just me. So that somehow would make it acceptable. People were asking me yesterday, like, do you call her self-identifying as a Christian into question based on her actions? I said I don't want to start that game where I'm telling people
what is or
what they are or aren't, or who they are or aren't when it comes to their religious identity, because you could do that to anyone.
Yeah.
Everyone is a hypocrite in some regard. Everyone sins, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, that person is more of a sinner than me, so they're not a Christian and I am. I don't want to start playing that game. But what I think is likely here is she just has a very misinformed idea of what Christianity is, what it means to call yourself a Christian. And clearly the way she is defending her actions shows that. And I think she was proven to be lying about being a virgin.
Yeah.
Because I saw a community note that pointed out she already has videos up on her OnlyFans of her having sex. So she lied about this for what? To just get people to subscribe?
Well, yeah, my point was
that's
that
even more disgusting.
It doesn't even matter if it's true or not, because 90% of people won't see the community note.
Of course. Right. The lie will just spread faster than the truth. And she used that as a marketing ploy because in a way that makes it more tantalizing, because you're viewing something supposedly pure being defiled.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's the selling point of it all is obviously gross. It's grosser than most mainstream porn.
Yeah.
And it shows why OnlyFans is gaining traction in an era where you do have full access to any pornography you want. It's not really about what you're viewing. It's about the fantasy. It's about the idea of who this person is and that you have a special connection to them.
Yeah.
We have a 20 here from Mr. Moose Knuckle. These girls show off a boob and make millions of dollars, but when I do it, it's, sir, this is a public space. Sir, this is a Wendy's. Put your boobs away. Takes?
Pretty much everything that you just said seems about spot on. The last part especially about the lying. It's a house of cards built on an image that they try to sell to everyone in a lot of ways. And I do always, not to be callous, I do always wonder, I'm like, why that one?
Why Sophie
like, why
Rain?
why this one? In a sea of vagina on the internet, like, why this particular person is it that makes it big? And it really is a crapshoot at best for most of them. But it is the big lie that they're not going to understand that 99.99% of them were more akin to SoundCloud rappers than they ever will be to becoming Jay-Z or Kanye West.
We have a 50 from Chris G.
Thank you.
You're focusing on what she did. The focus should be what pain that guy is dealing with to give that much money. Hi, Phil.
Hi.
I mean,
we'll never know.
The guy is. Oh, you're speaking about the Charlie
The
guy
top
specifically.
spender.
I'm like, you're like the guy, meaning like the amorphous, the royal guy.
No,
like, what are we
the
talking
top
about? Okay,
spender
the top spender.
guy.
Yeah. I mean, they should start a club.
Neither of them are victims. Okay,
Yeah.
like they're both doing this to themselves.
He got what he paid for. He wasn't in any way defrauded.
She's
so.
not a victim. If anything, you could even argue that she was a victim of the influence this had on her before she was an adult, because she saw examples of the OnlyFans success story before she really had the judgment to decide if this was right for her. But most definitely, the guy who's giving her nearly $5 million is not a victim. He's just a simp, and he should be shamed for it. But yeah, you're right. They're more akin to SoundCloud rappers. I just saw this series of stats. 1.4 million American women on OnlyFans earn only $151 per month on average. That's
On
1.4 million American women are now creators on OnlyFans, making up a significant share of the platform's 2.1 million global creators. I'm not so sure about the user base.
It was like,
but the user base is far more globalized.
Yeah, but I think it was like what, 90 million American men. I mean, I guess men is like 90 million Americans use it, like, to view stuff.
I'm pretty sure that was the global
Is that the
stat
global
for
number?
users,
Okay.
not just American. But the average creator earns about $150 per month.
That is unbelievably bad, and it's such, like, the odds are better that you're going to be a professional musician. Probably.
305.
You'd be better off becoming an actual SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah, or trying,
You would give up less.
Trying to be a regular actor. You know?
As of May 2023, OnlyFans has 3 million registered creators and 220 million registered consumers. So no, that 90 million probably was that. Remember, that was a year ago now. So
The U.S. accounts for 22.4% of OnlyFans global web traffic, with the majority of users aged 25 to 34. So I think this is why a lot of women are getting frustrated with the conversation about OnlyFans, because they feel like all of the blame is being piled on the women who are creating this content instead of the men who are
that isn't happening in this
paying
space
for
anymore.
it.
Everyone in this space now is rightly saying, like, look, these dudes need to not
It's
do
the
this
same
if
thing
they-
as dudes that go. It's the same thing as going to strip clubs. It's the same thing as going to prostitutes. It's the same thing. It's like there wouldn't be a market if there wasn't people looking to purchase
It's
it.
almost worse. The OnlyFans thing is almost worse than those things you just listed.
Prostitution?
Because if you go to a sex shop, or you go to a video store, or if you go to a strip club, or you go to a prostitute, whatever, you're at least putting yourself in a situation where you're at risk and you're embarrassed of what you're doing and you're owning it. Your face is in front of the person you're paying, and you have to reckon with what you were doing. But the OnlyFans simp is from a distance pretending to be this woman's boyfriend, basically. And he's playing out some bizarre, sick fantasy of being her financial provider, and he is pouring all of those.
Well, the dude that spent $4 million is providing pretty
more than
lot.
providing, more than providing her needs. But they're pouring what would be these healthy masculine desires into something that is obviously depraved and self-destructive.
And
so
leaves-
you almost have to think it would be better for them to go to a strip club and pay actual women in person to pretend to like them than this shit.
Yeah.
It's almost like both are bad, obviously. I am against both, but at least one of those scenarios forces you to reckon with what you are doing. You show up with cash in your pocket, and you're like, I'm here to pay women to pretend that they like me.
There's a vastly different base of people doing those things. The people spending the money on OnlyFans are a different personality type than the person who's going to the strip club.
But overall, both of those actions are incredibly emasculating and a simulation of intimacy, basically. Thank you. I might get some heat for saying that. I don't know. But that's my controversial take.
You're probably not going to get a lot of heat here.
No?
I don't know.
And as far as this realm goes, I think a lot of that conversation has shifted, and they are now looking to the men to be like, what are you doing, bro? Like,
they are the majority of the problem here. They're the majority of people using OnlyFans and making this system possible.
Yeah.
So, like, get your shit together, basically.
I don't think
know?
that. I mean, whereas I think you're right that if there wasn't consumers, there wouldn't be a market. But I don't think that there's ever going to be a time where there aren't consumers. I think that's
yes. And I don't like the argument that the OnlyFans women use, where they say, "Well, the simps are out there regardless. Why don't I just take advantage of them?" Because you're not a psychopath, I would hope.
Clearly they are. If that's their attitude, then they are.
And they're like, oh, guys are going to objectify me anyways, no matter what I wear or what I do. So why don't I just make money off of it? Those are the brain dead arguments that these women use. And I've heard it in person on the Whatever podcast. They say this shit online. They really think they did something when they say shit like that. If men are objectifying you when you're just living your everyday life wearing clothes, that's their problem. Don't make it your problem. Don't ruin your life over it. And I unfortunately see the trend is the only way to own your sexuality, the only way to get fulfillment from your sexuality is to sell it. And we will find out sooner rather than later that these women, they will regret this. They will regret this. I don't know if they will admit it publicly, but they will regret this.
I don't know. If you're like that chick that's making $43 million a year, I have a feeling she's not going to regret it.
I don't think any amount of money is enough to help you sleep at night.
I think, okay, so that was what I was going to say. Like, in a world as culturally materialistic as ours is, maybe for the 2 minutes after her head hits the pillow, she'll think about it. But other than that,
this girl has made enough money at this point where she would never have to work again in her life, nor would her children or grandchildren.
Wait a minute, has she made $43 million?
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, she probably could.
She's not doing it. Think about it. Logically, she is not doing it for the money anymore. There is something else in it for her. What do you think that is?
I think
it's not about the money.
I think that there's I don't know if that necessarily means that she's going to regret it. I just think that you have an upbringing and a moral base that's very, very different from some of these people. And however accurate I think that your assessment is of what you're saying, I don't know if the thought will even cross their head into that realm. Maybe it will, but I don't know.
Sin does make you stupid.
So I don't know.
Few think of this, but sin does make you stupid. It dulls your intellect, it dulls your judgment, and then you just continue spiraling. But I still believe reason and morality is written on the human heart, and it's at least apparent enough that what she's doing is wrong, that it will impair her ability to form relationships, to
like if you want to
feel
take
peace within herself.
The more pragmatic, cynical approach, if you want to look at it that way and say, like, maybe she won't regret her actions of doing it, but perhaps when she finds it impossible to stay in a long-term relationship because people have a hard time being with someone who worked in that field, which does still happen, however progressive the world tries to portray it to be, maybe there's some regret there. But again, is that idea, it's like, oh no, I can't find a husband, let me blow my nose into this pile of money. In a materialistic culture, I don't know how far that permeates.
We have a $50 from Chris G. Oldest profession in the world, nothing wrong with not liking it, but with 8 billion people on the planet, it's going to be a thing, and some love it.
Look at the way that or I mean, look at the fact that there's like 1.5 billion people in India, and look at the way that Indian men, as soon as they got the internet, the first thing they started doing was like propositioning women in the most horrible English that you can imagine. There's gonna be a market.
But the thing is, I think, Chris, what you're misinterpreting here is that I have a distaste for it rather than a moral objection to it. Because you're kind of just saying, oh, well, it's going to happen anyways, so, like, fine. But, like, murder is going to happen anyways. Plenty of things inevitably are going to happen because we live in a fallen world. Doesn't mean that we should just be blasé about it and let it happen with no vocal objection whatsoever.
I think for most, it's not necessarily about being blasé, but most people are just trying to get through the day and they just don't think about it that deeply, other than just like, I can't do anything about it. All I can do is focus on the impact I'm making in the world.
People
and
don't think about most things deeply nowadays.
True. Like that's like whenever we have these topics, like Mary's like, so Brett, what's your take? I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of scroll past this stuff when I see it and go, that's a lot of money.
Well, that was kind of what you said about Lily Phillips.
Yeah,
too.
I look at this and I go, my first thoughts have nothing to do with her. My first thoughts are, what the hell does Charlie do for a living? That's what I want to know.
Charlie, if you're watching, we want to
know.
interview you. Okay, let's finish up Super Chats. High Voltage 75 said, what would PCC Gone Wild be like? I mean,
not very wild.
The show's already pretty wild sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's about as wild as
we need PCC Gone Mild. Can we chill out?
Seriously,
I don't know, man. I really do think that, like, PCC is fairly restrained. I think.
Yeah. We restrain ourselves.
Well, I'm exactly how I am. Mary's the one who has to restrain herself from time to time.
That's true.
You definitely have way more offensive jokes off air. Let's not lie.
Yeah, but jokes aren't really the crux of this show. Like
the fact that they're jokes is the part that's not really offensive.
Yeah. Like it's not like it's not like a actual
definitely
hot
things
take.
you wouldn't say on here.
No, I'm saying there's tons of stuff that I wouldn't say, but usually in the vein of, like you said, like some type of joke that's probably politically incorrect. But it's not like I've got a ton of hot takes.
This is a daytime YouTube show, though. Like, it's not
better than The View.
Absolutely better.
By far.
That's not hard to do, so it's not saying much.
Nate said, please don't defend these videotape hoes. I don't think we were.
Was anybody defending?
Mondo said the Attitude Era will forever reign supreme.
Yes.
Olivia's in the chat says Brett is foul, lol. That's just rude. It's just rude.
Why?
My jokes aren't foul.
Oh, okay. She's backing me up. Corn Pop said, say my name, Miss Mary.
Well, you just did.
I just did. Mondo said, I don't need to swing my thing around to feel free.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Fifi Gigantor said, I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. Corey Anderson said, Mary, what did your dad tell you about men? That's an interesting question.
Did that...
Men are dangerous and prone to deviant behaviors? I thought that was an obvious thing. Now, granted, you're like men, like fathers should tell their daughters that, and that's why like men. The whole reason why like men are like, yeah, we shouldn't have trans women in women's bathrooms is because they know how crazy and weird men can be.
Yeah,
that's literally the whole reason. Now, you don't have to like the fact that men are saying that, but when men are saying it, they're saying it because I don't want crazy, weird men near my daughter.
When men are saying it, it does mean more. And I wasn't told word for word, like, men are dogs, whatever, but it was definitely ingrained in me over time that I need to look out for myself. And random men are not going to do that for me, which is not self-explanatory.
Otherwise, you end up like Daniel Penny.
Exactly.
Oh, wow, we got a $100 one.
Chris G said, I'm with you, Mary. I dislike the it's going to happen anyway. We should all try to be better, but OF fights that, and I'm a realistic fight the power?
Okay.
I think he meant realist.
Okay.
I guess when those things come up, the problem is that we have to talk about it. Like in the real world, pragmatically, you just kind of do your best by trying to be a good person and live a virtuous life or
I mean, surely if I knew someone who was considering doing OnlyFans, that would be my moment to...
You're like, I've been waiting for this moment my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, to go and talk to them about it.
To make it a personal thing and not something that I just pontificate about.
Don't be me, who would just be like, yeah, whatever, you know?
Thank you.
You're an adult, it's fine.
Brett, what if I came to you and I was like, listen, I'm going to start an OnlyFans?
It would be a different conversation than what the conversation I would have with another person, because I would say...
Would you tell me not to?
I would tell you career-wise...
What if I told you I'm quitting and I'm starting an OnlyFans? What would you say?
Like, okay, but on your way out, you have to do one last show promoting it on here. That's what I would say.
I mean, legitimately though, would you advise me against it?
I would, but not for the reasons that you're thinking. I would advise you against it because I would say that
I don't
it
know
would
what
be.
I'm thinking.
Well, it wouldn't be for moral reasons. It would be for career reasons. It's a short-term gain when you have a bright future ahead of you doing something that doesn't damage, your soul.
I'd be like, whatever, you don't understand me.
Exactly. I'm like, look, you do whatever you want, but I'm trying to think for your career long-term, not short-term.
We have a 20 from Stone Sting. Hold up, Mary. I agree with you on 99% of the Sophie Rain thing, but based on her recent Twix posts, she only grossed $43 million. OF takes 20% off the top, then pays her management. She probably took home $20 million at most.
Oh,
that is still
$20 million is
practically that is still enough where she will never have to work again in her life. So clearly, what she's chasing after is something different than just money.
And I'm sure that there's other things that she's monetized far beyond.
So look, $20 million is enough money to live on for the rest of your life, but just because you make $20 million doesn't mean that's enough to like live on for like all your dreams and stuff. So
all your dreams?
Yeah, $20 million.
Maybe your dreams are stupid.
$20 million isn't what $20 million was 20 years ago.
I get that,
and
but
think about, like,
you don't
only
really
get
deserve
worse.
your dreams, and your dreams are probably dumb.
Government's gonna take a huge cut of that.
That was after he like calculated after.
But still, like the point that I'm making is like I get that 20 million is a boatload of money. It really is. Like, and you can absolutely live the rest of your life on it. But just because when you have the ability to make that kind of money as well, and you've made that kind of money, like saying, "Oh, it really was not difficult for me to make this money," I don't see a reason. Like the argument is, I don't see a reason to stop. If they didn't find, if they didn't consider it a moral problem in the first year, and they're like, I made all this money, there's no actual reason for them to say.
There's no off ramp.
Yeah, there's no reason for them. Like there has to be a change inside them to say, I don't want to do this anymore. Because if they don't have a change inside them that deters them, then that like making that money again next year and the year after, that's an extremely attractive proposition. You know?
I mean, I imagine that it's one of the things I find funny about a lot of actors who are very successful is like they don't need to work, but they do because they enjoy it. And oddly enough, the more they succeed, the more money their roles will net them, but they don't need to be doing it. They're doing it because they feel a higher calling to it.
Weary Traveler said, real ones remember seeing Girls Gone Wild commercials at 4 a.m. after staying up all night watching Toonami.
You're mistaking real ones for old ones.
Yeah.
What?
He said real ones, but it's not
real
real.
Only the real
Yeah,
ones.
it's not real ones. It's old ones.
Shane H. Wilder said, cringe is why ASMR should be banned. Was that accidentally ASMR? Because they were all whispering. The Rumbling said, when females usually do something immoral, it usually just ends in regret. When males do something immoral, it tends to lead more dire consequences.
I mean, you could make the argument that the way that men and women are behaving now together and the separation of the sexes and the disconnection we all feel from one another has a strong consequence on the culture beyond just, a bit of regret.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would love to have an inside look at what Charlie's life looks like, because that must be really sad.
Maybe he would surprise you. Maybe he's actually got tons of real-world girlfriends. He just feels particularly strongly about this one.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe what he actually likes about it is like he's got a real girlfriend who's really stingy with.
Oh, I see.
And he's like, look, I'm not getting you
He pretends that he's middle class when he's with his real world girlfriend.
Yeah, he's like, look, you can have
She has
something
no
off
idea.
the dollar menu, but the dollar menu doesn't exist anymore.
The DJ Foy said, what to give a shout to Phil making my fave track of 24 according to Spotify.
Cheers.
Had Divine on rotation so much I ended up in the top 0.05%. Any plans to do the festival circuit in Australia, Phil?
I didn't know that there was a festival circuit in Australia anymore.
Nor playing.
I thought that after Soundwave, they didn't do festivals down there anymore. So, no.
Hold, please. You'll have to re-answer that question. Say that again now.
I said I didn't know that after the end of Soundwave, they still had festivals down in Australia. So no, we don't have any plans on getting down there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ken Man said Madonna belongs on top, influenced everyone.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would put her in the. She's
She's
like
not
an
the-
80s icon.
Yeah,
She would be in the 20th
Wrong
century.
time frame, homo.
She did make good music in the 21st century, but not her best. High Voltage 75 said, regardless of who wins, it's ridiculous to name Artist of the Century when we're not even a quarter of the way through it. True. Weary Traveler said there absolutely would have been a meltdown if Taylor was #1, and they would have compared it to Kamala losing. Let's not pretend they wouldn't.
I don't know who you think the meltdown would be, but I just don't know that it. Maybe it's just so unimportant to me that I can't believe it happening. But you know,
I see it happening.
they're like
I'm more connected to
they're
Stan
They're
Twitter, though.
annoying fake Hollywood friends. They go to each other's stupid movie premieres and they stand next.
That's
to
the
each
worst part, is that Beyonce and Taylor Swift are like, our friendship, like we support each
other.
other.
Taylor Swift's in my group chat. Shut the fuck up. No, she's not.
Like, I saw this article that the headline was like, a full timeline of Beyonce and Taylor Swift's friendship. It doesn't exist. They're a timeline of what?
They showed up at a couple of events together.
Yeah. DJ said Mary is good, Brett is terrible, and Phil is like 120 lbs. Come at me.
Is that how much you weigh, Phil? 120 pounds?
No.
No?
No, it's significantly more than 120.
You don't ask a man his weight. That's extremely rude. Shane H. Wilder said, I still contend that Charlie Pride is rolling in his grave because of Beyonce's country album.
Perhaps.
High Voltage 75 said, I officially named PCC the podcast of the century.
It's been spoken, ladies and gentlemen.
We would be in the top, like, 1,000.
Maybe. I don't know about that.
I think. Yeah.
We're on the list somewhere.
We're on a
because
list.
we exist.
We're
How
on
about
a
that?
list. I'm on a list.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, while Hot Mulligan's Why Would I Watch was released in 2023, it was the best album of 2024, if only All That Remains released an album in 2024.
We released a lot of music in 2024.
And then the answer is that Beta Bitch Destiny. Please sell that Destiny shirt, Phil. It was effing amazing. Also,
I will wear that
very
tomorrow.
looking sultry in the thumbnail.
Is that how you would have described that photo?
I don't think so. I think I was just sitting there being normal.
I definitely will wear the shirt tomorrow for you guys. How about that? If you
Greg
tune in, I'll wear
Duvier
it.
said 2 weeks till Christmas coffee, Cast Brew Coffee.
I saw the
2 weeks till Christmas. Yeah, that is the new flavor coming out. Get ready. Gingerbread. I believe it's gingerbread is what we want. Because I don't like peppermint.
I better get a Cast
Oh, I
Brew
don't
energy
like that
drink at
either,
some
yeah.
point.
Yeah, so it's going to be a gingerbread coffee. So it'll be delicious.
I'm so sad about the pumpkin cold brew being gone at Starbucks. No. Like, I didn't think I would be that person, but
Well, you are.
I'm actually so mad. And
You're a woman,
I
so-
got the gingerbread or whatever it was, cold foam instead. And it was like I was drinking milk. Like, it's not even coffee. I hate that.
There's a 20 here from Chris G.
Chris G, I had a point, but it didn't matter, so I'll just say thank you for you, Brett, Mary, and Phil. Life is better that you're here.
Cheers. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much. That's very wholesome. James Coteritis said, we know the band can't control those things. Looking forward to the next tour, Phil.
Cheers.
The NH crew is waiting for All That Remains Killswitch co-headline.
Ooh, that'd be a good tour.
Shane H. Wilder said, Peter Dinklage, little people should not play little people in fantasy. Warwick Davis, why do you not want me to make a living, Peter? Well, yeah, then he was in Willow, wasn't he?
And Harry Potter.
Yeah,
he was in the original Harry Potter. Maybe they'll bring him back. Maybe it'll be like they'll turn it into the Harry Potter multiverse and.
Ew.
It's backwards. Surinko Productions said Snape being black doesn't make any sense from a story perspective. Slytherin is supposed to be racist, and it's why J.K. had Hermione be black in the play. Is that true?
I did not ever know
Slytherins
any-
are racist?
I mean, they're bad people in general. You know, they're portrayed as less good people, or you know, more likely to follow the likes of a Voldemort. But
Wait, what was your house?
I didn't have a house. I don't do that.
What do you mean? You never?
No.
Which one would you be?
I have no opinion on that. I can like books without doing that.
Come on. You never, when you were into Harry Potter as a kid, you never tried to figure out which one you were in?
No. As soon as I saw anybody doing that, I'm like, you're just answering like a, you know, like a Teen Vogue quiz.
Yeah.
And I'm above that.
That's the fun part.
I'm better than that. Sorry.
Well, we already know which one I'm in.
Yes.
Sorenko Productions, or sorry, JTR11 said Macs are for sheep.
Macs are
fight.
Considering like
Sorry.
Macs have like 10% of the market, 10 maybe 15% of the market, it's definitely the sheep that go with Macs. Clown shoes.
Jared Klein said, on the topic of movies, which actor would you want to play you in the movie of your life? You can race swap if you want. Chris Rock for Brett.
Yes.
No.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
No, it's not.
Chris Rock.
You already had a... Some people compared you to, I think, Dana Carvey.
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day.
No, Tom Cruise. Duh.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He's
Duh.
my height.
For me, I don't know.
Anya Taylor-Joy. We were talking about her yesterday.
Dakota Fanning would be a pretty good likeness.
There you go.
I think.
I have no idea. I don't watch movies. Like,
You don't know any actors you would want to play you?
I don't know. What's his name that played Deadpool?
Ryan Reynolds.
There you go. Yeah.
But then I would end up hating you after I watched the movie.
That's
so.
fine with me.
John Quixote said, in POA, Ron and Hermione are returning from vacations before school starts. From the book, Ron looking incredibly freckly, Hermione very brown. That'd be a weird thing to say if Hermione was black.
Yes, she was tan from
Right.
vacationing. It does not matter. They will rewrite it all.
It don't matter. JM Director said, Phil, no dicking around Labonte.
There you go.
DCNC said, can you spell Sophie Rain so I can go research it later? You'll have to figure that one on your own. Corey Anderson said, these OF girls owe money to the tax man.
Well, I mean, just because I may not,
A lot of money.
just because I may or may not support what they're doing for a living does
Yeah.
not mean I think that the tax man deserves their money.
I missed the 20 from That Stanzatastic earlier. Very sorry about that. He said, okay, hear me out. What if Macs are used exclusively in the left lane? Are they still good? Also, you're right about the tinkering, but sometimes it is nice to have something stable and just works without having to F with it. GG.
Yes. And I'm not, I have no opinion about using Macs in the left lane.
Corn Pop sent us 2 stickers. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
JM Director said, regarding OnlyFans chicks, is it possible that these guys are laundering money through OnlyFans chicks? There is no way the people are paying this much money to see PG content. Well, they are seeing X content, for the record, but yes, I think that is a major possibility, that they're using OnlyFans accounts to money launder. Yeah. No Control said, he who is without sin casts the first stone. Well, that's why I'm saying I don't know her true convictions in regard to her faith. I think she is just deeply, gravely misinformed. Pop Culture Junkie said, I have owned 7 Macs since 1983. I have had to do only 5 forced shutdown reboots. I can't count the number of times I've had to reboot PCs at work after getting the blue screen of death.
Look, part of the reason that people complain about Macs and is because of the tight control that or that Apple has on the Macs, but the reason why you have all kinds of wild stuff happen to PCs is because of the lack of control. So you can pick. You can either have a computer that you can dick with and mess around inside and change all the stuff and blah, 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 and have random people write programs that may be great. They may work perfectly on it, or they may put a virus on your computer, or you can have a Mac where you can't do any of that stuff. Everything is super tightly controlled by Apple, but you don't have to worry about all the stuff that can possibly happen with a PC. So I just choose to go with Mac because it's a whole lot more stable, and I don't have to worry about getting random viruses and stuff, and I don't have to worry about messing around with the computer. I've done it with, I've messed around with the PC when I streamed, and it sucks. I hated it.
I see why you got the tattoo now.
Yeah.
Gordon Shumway said Slytherin is racist, but I think that had more to do with the pure blood magic users. They didn't like anyone with Muggle heritage, and they might as well go full simple Jack and gender swap everyone. Harriet Potter, anyone?
But that's not racism. That's got
It's
nothing
close
to
enough.
do with that.
It's the magic world of racism.
It's an allegory.
It's actually good, like, storytelling, which is better than the boring idea that they actually look at black people and are like, I don't like you. That's boring and stupid and part of our world that we live in here, where that's an unfortunate reality.
Thank you.
The better question is, you know, why was everybody okay with the house elves working for nothing just because they liked their jobs? Why was Hermione the only one that seemed to be against slavery?
I don't know.
Yeah. They're like, well, you know,
elves aren't real, so I don't care.
There you go.
Ash Granger said, can y'all help me find a boyfriend? I'm tired. I don't know if we can be of much help, but find someone in the chat.
Yeah.
They're available. Shane H. Wilder said, for what doth it profit a man if he gain the whole world and suffer the loss of his own soul, or what exchange shall a man give for his soul? Tell that to Charlie, not me. Nate said she spits in the face of Christianity and you say, who am I to judge? She said it to mock Christianity. I don't know what she intended to do or not when she said that she is a Christian. I think she's stupid. I think she probably was raised in a nominally Christian household and probably still identifies with that and has no idea what it means. So, you know, you go tell her yourself if you feel that strongly about it. Smile 2 had psychoactive suspense at times, said Brett Mary is SSU doomed after Friday the 13th. What is SSU?
I don't know what they're talking about.
I have no idea.
I must be missing something right now.
Okay.
I saw that earlier. I was like, I don't know what that's about.
Shane H. Wilder said the Bible quote goes for her and the simps. Yes. Dingus Khan said I think you mean a simp. A simp and his money are soon parted. Corn Pop said, Mary, can we be friends? No. JTR11 said OnlyFans is a conspiracy by Big Pharma to get millions of women hooked on psychiatric drugs.
I mean, they do that themselves.
Yeah, you don't need OnlyFans to start that
Do you
trend.
know how many women in America are on SSRIs that have nothing to do with
90%.
OnlyFans?
We have a $100
Big one there.
super
Thank
chat
you.
from Chris G. Damn, Phil, I'm a tech guy for one of the best companies in the Midwest. Apple has structure, but it doesn't leave for free will. If you know, you won't click the link for the prince that needs money, link included.
There's a whole philosophical debate going on right now.
It's quite literally what you said you don't want.
Every single person that likes PCs better, that has a strong opinion, it's always because they want to tinker
People who
with the
love
PC.
Macs love the government because they want the government to take care of them.
Apple literally told the FBI to go F themselves when they tried to get Apple to put a backdoor into the iPhone.
It's not very libertarian to have a computer that prevents you from going somewhere just because you might not want to go there.
Tim Cook voted for Donald Trump.
Kidding.
Unreal.
This is getting
Unreal.
heated. Short Bus Bully said we are living through the simpocalypse.
Yeah.
If only. Bring the meteor. Corey Anderson said OnlyFans thoughts have turned me pro IRS. Don't at me. Blame these dang hoes. I am sick to my stomach over this behavior. Corn is free, people. Lord, smite us.
You should never be. Nothing should ever
Nah.
make you more pro
Nah, I'm
IRS.
pro IRS.
Nothing.
What?
Zero.
I'm pro IRS. Just tax the OnlyFans thoughts all of their money. 100% tax rate.
You have no idea what you're asking for. You are.
Well, I'm
you
not
are
on
gonna-
OnlyFans,
you're-
so I'm going to be
you're-
fine.
No, that's exactly what everybody that says let's get the government to do something thinks. It's not going to affect
It's
me.
giving nerd emoji.
Remember, it's only one. The income tax was only supposed to be 1%. It was supposed to be 1%. It was only
If
for
I
the
had
top
glasses,
1%
I
of
would
people.
push them up right now.
You are so wrong, my sweet summer child.
DJ said, porn fans are tiny, not a... I don't know if I should say that word. Also, Phil is a tiny man. YouTube literally is making me edit it 3 times. You're getting censored, probably for good reasons. Christina Lee said, my friend and I was approached at my college campus in the early 2000s. Some guy in a GGW van shouted out, do you guys want to be in Girls Gone Wild? We politely declined. You just need to say no.
There is that.
It's easier when you find them already drunk at the club.
Yeah.
And they're easier to convince. That seems to be what was happening. Ash Granger said, Mary, when you go to sex stores, at least there's shame. Also, Mary, we should put more blame on the people who are anonymous behind a screen than the women putting themselves out there on OF. I don't think that's what I said. So I'm going to move on.
Apparently, SSU is in reference to the Sony Spider-Man universe, and that's when Craven comes out on Friday the 13th, December 13th.
I know I have just talked endlessly about my passion for Spider-Man.
Look, I don't think the Sony Spider-Man universe ever really got going, just because Venom 1 was good and Venom 2 was bad, and the rest of them were kind of just blah. Does not mean that, you know, me loving how bad.
Madam Web 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Chris G said, you don't know what you're asking for, Mary, says the Phil that loves Apple. The amount of money you're spending to argue with Phil is kind of a flex. Not gonna lie.
You guys can do whatever you want. I'm not trying to tell you that you should use something else. You're trying to tell me that I should use PCs because it's your hobby. And you're like my hobby. I don't want anything to do with your hobby.
I always said, like, I don't get why men want women to like their shit. Like, I like what I like, and I don't care if men like what I like.
That's okay.
You know? Corey Anderson said, I want the Ian and Phil folk side project.
No.
It could be called Filling Ian?
No.
Ah!
Yeah, no. Pat the Plumber said, Brett, you should wear pink more often.
Don't wear pink ever.
You're wearing pink today.
Okay.
Shane H. Wilder said, while despising the actions of the OF girls and simps, all I can do is pray for them. It must be a very lonely life when the fun is done. Agree. Ash Granger said, shaming is useful and works for the non-anonymous. I think it works regardless.
Even if they're not, even if they are anonymous.
Yeah. V. Witt said, my AI GF thinks this is disgusting. Oh, hi, Phil. Winky face. Jared Klein said, Mary, I need your help to choreograph the bar fight you mentioned yesterday and write the song You Don't Deserve Your Dreams and Your Dreams Are Probably Dumb for I Hate Musicals, the Mary Morgan story.
That would be a good play.
Yeah, my people will talk to your people. Hiroshima Otaru said, Beyonce stans are particularly insufferable.
I know that Xavier DeRusso has talked about ending up on the wrong side of Beyonce fans more than once.
Yeah, he's kind of our rep for Stan Twitter. He knows all the ins and outs. Shane H. Wilder said, prayers for safe travels, Mary. We'll try to keep Brett in line tomorrow. No seances tomorrow, Brett. Gives stern look.
I mean, maybe I'll just leave the chat off and then you can't do nothing.
No seances allowed. Omega Red Fan said, brain rot for life, brain rot forever.
Yep.
Agreed. That Stanzatastic said, wasn't Peter Dinklage an elf? That was my point. Yeah. He literally took a role that's the most egregious example of your height being the butt of the joke. And then he's acting like he's above that.
Times have changed.
Corey Anderson said Blaze Zabini was a black Slytherin. They weren't racist. Bigots, yes. Elitists, yes. But not racist.
See, I love it. I love the idea that there can be nuance to your bigotry in storytelling. It doesn't have to be as boring as 21st century American racial politics.
I mean, this is why I loved the Slytherins, though, because they were elitist.
Yeah, and very, very, they believed in status and pure blood. And
Baron Trump would be Slytherin, no question.
Think so?
Yes.
Okay.
He even looks like one.
He does have the sharp features, doesn't he?
Yeah. That Stanzatastic said, which is the bigger money laundering scheme, OF or mattress firm? I still have room, so I saw the Praise Be to Space King video finally.
I was reading about Mattress Firm the other day. People were doing more in-depth analysis because that's what me and Olivia, whenever we drive, I'm like, Mattress Firm, right? Where are you keeping the kids and the drugs? Like, we all know that it's a money laundering scheme and there's a bunch of crime being done out of there. But apparently it's all about mattress financing and has something to do with, like, it's owned by Tempur-Pedic, by like Sealy. And the first thing they do when you go in there is they try to sell you a $12,000 mattress.
$12,000.
And I guess they give you the big ask, and by the time you leave, you've bought a $3,000 mattress that you don't need to buy because anything sounds better than buying a $12,000 mattress.
We have another crisis party from Chris G. I like Phil as a human and the rest of you. My money is my business, but I owe you all for 3 years of great content. This is my favorite show other than Megyn Kelly, who Mary has met.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, I forgot that I did meet her.
I gotta get out of here. I got IRL tonight.
Yeah, we gotta rush through these.
All right, let's get through these.
Okay. That Stanzatastic, or no control, said Linux, pain in the ass, and never crashes. DCNC said Phil loves a system with tight control, hates freedom. He's a commie. Get him. It's a decent point about Max being just a consumer good, I guess.
I'm putting the kibosh on all
We're
computer
not doing
discussion
this
so
anymore.
we can get Phil out of here.
Pop Culture Junkie said Apple's secret. The people who design the hardware and write the software meet in the same room, not like the PC free-for-all.
Okay.
Red Snow said, praise be to Space King. See you tomorrow, guys and gals.
Thank you.
Ethan the Felonious Poet said, for me, PC is king because I like repairability.
Okay.
We get it. Mondo said, Phil is a big man with huge triceps and cool shirts. Finally, some love for Phil in the chat. That Stanzatastic said, the same thing.
Yep.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, me with a PC and an iPhone. Why am I being persecuted on both sides? I just want to live. LMFAO.
Fair
You're
enough.
okay.
I
Don't feel
have
judged.
no care for what other people use. Everyone has a problem with my preference. I don't have a problem with anyone else's preference. You go and
He's
you
very
enjoy
live
it.
and let live.
Yeah. Gordon Shumway said, Apple users' biggest enemies are Apple users. They're just trying to out-Apple each other. And when I say Apple, I mean libertarians. Stay golden, Phil, and keep fighting communism.
Cheers.
No Control. They're trying to mess with you, and it's working. No
They
Control
are.
said, I asked my dad why we had to get up at 5 a.m. to go fishing. He said, because your mama won't. Solid.
DCNC.
DCNC said, time to ink a hammer and sickle next to that apple. Ash Granger said, I'm an anti-communist and counter-revolutionary. Please pick me, balding man. This is... wow.
What is going on with you weirdos?
Weary Traveler said Phil's new name is Applejacks. Okay, this is just schoolyard bullying now. Mondo said, speaking of Barron Trump, did y'all hear him speak? I did. Wasn't that cool? It was just a person speaking. Terrence Rice said, I work in a data center. I love my MacBook for work, and I love my PC gaming rig for everything else. Android and iPhone are basically the same nowadays.
I have a PC for games too. Like in New Hampshire, I've used.
Do you like tinkering with it?
No, I hate tinkering with it.
Putzing around.
All the time.
Hiroshima Otaru said, Baron, if you're listening, I think Mary has a crush. I mean,
this is a picture of Mary looking up.
I wouldn't not go on a date with Barron Trump, but he's too young for me. So, V Wit said last. Is it really the last?
2 more.
There are 2 more?
2 more super chats.
I don't even see
Gordon
these.
Shumway says, Peter Dinklage was also in Tiptoes. He played a French communist little person. Talk to me about a messed up movie. Two bears in one cave have Matthew McConaughey on clowning him about that movie. I think I remember that people talking about that movie. I've never seen it, but I have heard people talk about it. Red Snow says, more last. Mondo says, damn Mary, also last. Ash Granger says, someone just said Phil is the new... No, I'm not reading the rest of that one. Phil is the new Hannah, LOL. I don't know who that is. And then Shane H. Weller says, chat has gone off the rails today. It was worse yesterday. They just weren't in the super chats. They were just chatting regularly. Guys, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Let's go, Phil. Let everybody know where they can find you so we can get you out of here.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. You can subscribe to me there. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can follow us on YouTube, on Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. We've got 4 new videos that are available now. You got one for Forever Cold, a song called Let You Go, No Tomorrow, and Divine. And don't forget, The Left Lane is for Crime. I'm out of here.
And I will see, Phil will be with me here tomorrow with Raymond G. Stanley Jr.
That Stanzatastic said, I heart Phil. Thanks for being awesome. VWet said, shh, last. DC&C said, let's get a let's go, Phil. You're far away from your mic.
I'm trying to go. Yeah. Let's go!
Okay. You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
All right,
and
guys.
there is the last crisis party.
There it is, right there. All right. If you would like to follow me, I am on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasvik on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would prefer to listen rather than watch this show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please go ahead and do that. Thank you, Phil, for showing up today.
One last one for you. High Voltage 75 said, hostage party, sit down, Apple boy.
He's not doing that. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Okay.